When I decided to go fishing at a secluded lake in the middle of the forest, I never imagined that I would experience the most terrifying ordeal of my life. Yet, that's what happened that night. A night I will remember forever. I am a true lover of nature. I always feel peaceful and serene when I'm amidst the wilderness, far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. The lake was a place I regularly visited to unwind and find solace amidst the dense forest. That night, the sky was clear, and the full moon shone brightly in the sky. I carried my fishing gear and walked along the edge of the lake, searching for the perfect spot to catch some fish. The moonlight illuminated the lake, creating beautiful reflections on its calm surface. I felt like I was entering a different world as I approached the lake's edge. The sounds of the forest alive with the songs of birds and the rustle of leaves in the wind made me feel alive. However, something strange began to feel as I reached the darker and more secluded end of the lake. I saw an unusual shadow on the lake's edge amidst the dense foliage. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the moonlight or the shadow of the trees swaying in the wind. However, as I approached, I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. The shadow resembled a human figure, but something felt off. Its body seemed contorted, and its long hair floated in the night breeze. My heart pounded, and I felt an inexplicable sense of fear creeping inside. I chose to ignore the strange feeling and focus on fishing. I cast my line into the water and waited patiently. But I couldn't shake the shadow from my mind. It felt like something was wrong, something threatening and terrifying. As the night grew later, the darkness deepened around the lake. The full moon still shone brightly, but the shadow remained, moving among the dark trees. I felt like I was being watched, and fear began to envelop me. Suddenly, I heard a rustling behind me. I turned quickly, but there was nothing there, only the trees swaying in the night breeze. I tried to reassure myself, telling myself that it was just my overactive imagination, but I couldn't shake the strange feeling. Refocusing on fishing, I pulled the line with hopes of catching a big fish. However, when I looked at the water's surface, I froze. There, reflected on the water, was the shadow of the face of an old woman with long hair, smiling at me. I closed my eyes and opened them again, hoping it was just an illusion. But the shadow remained, floating on the water's surface, watching my every move. My heart raced, and fear gripped every fiber of my being. I tried to ignore the shadow and focus on fishing, but the fear continued to haunt me. It felt like something was wrong at the lake, something threatening and terrifying. As the night grew later and the darkness deepened, I became more restless. I felt like I was facing a dark force that I couldn't grasp. When I decided to end my fishing and head home, I heard an evil laughter around me. I turned, searching for the source of the sound, but there was nothing in sight except the terrifying darkness of the night. I felt like something was lurking among the trees, something I didn't want to encounter. Carefully, I began to walk home, but the fear continued to consume me. I felt like something was following my every step, lurking behind the dark shadows. Suddenly, I felt something touch my shoulder. I turned quickly, but there was nothing there. Only the terrifying darkness among the trees. I felt like I was facing a force much stronger than me. With quick steps, I ran towards my house, trying to escape the fear creeping inside me. But the faster I ran, the closer it felt like the darkness was following. When I arrived home, I immediately went inside and locked the door tightly. I lay on my bed, but I couldn't shake off the fear that enveloped me. I felt like something was waiting outside, something I couldn't anticipate. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake all night, staring at the dark night sky through my bedroom window. I felt like something was waiting to attack, something terrifying and evil. The next day, I went back to the lake, but I couldn't find the shadow of the old woman that had terrified me. I decided to leave the lake and never return. However, Even though I left that place, the memory of that night continued to haunt me. I couldn't forget the fear that had consumed me, and I would never forget the face of the old woman with long hair that haunted my dreams.